60 Sports presents the Professional Bowlers Tour. For today's season premiere, we're in the greater San Francisco Bay Area, a region which not only reflects the cosmopolitan nature of this great city, but also captures the charm of the surrounding countryside. In our first match today, Pete McCordick of Houston will try to win his first professional title after finishing in the runner-up spot on 6 occasions. He'll face one of the tour's most colorful players from Neptune Beach, Florida, the winner of 7 titles, Guppy Troop. The winner of the first match will meet the bowler who is everyone's choice for Rookie of the Year from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, John Gant. The second-seeded bowler is a 14-year veteran of the tour, the tournament's defending champion, Butch Soper, and the tournament leader, who continues to ride a 3-month hot streak from Indianapolis, Indiana, seeking his 7th PBA title, Mike Albee. And our season premiere telecast emanates from the Union Square Lanes, the $150,000 AC Delco Classic. Yes, we're about an hour from the heart of San Francisco, California. Hello again, I'm Chris Schenkel, welcoming you to the first of 16 consecutive Saturday afternoon live telecasts on the winter tour of the Professional Bowlers Association. We have a new time, 3 o'clock every Saturday afternoon Eastern Time, which means that Wide World follows at 4:30, also a new time. Another new fact is this. On the 16 weeks, they'll be bowling for over $2.5 million, or an average per tournament each week of $152,000. Like today in the AC Delco Classic, the winner will receive $27,000. So we're all excited about our 24th season. Our field today, lots of variety. We have 3 right-handers, 2 left-handers, the tournament leader from Indianapolis, Mike Albee, bowls from the left side. Now my colleague of many, many years, bowls from the right side and earned some money this week from St. Louis, Nelson Burton Jr., Bo.
Thank you, Chris, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. What about this new year, 1985, and the PBT?
Well, the PBT, Chris, I think is in for more excitement than it's ever had before. There's 2 points to really look for in our 16-week segment. Number one, I don't think there's going to be any domination of the Professional Bowlers Tour as we saw in years past, such as Mark Roth winning 8 titles. The reason being, first place, much equity in the lane condition from house to house. And number 2, a great influx of young players. And the second thing to look for this year on the tour is a better scoring lane condition. Last year, the PBT suffered through the first 5 weeks where the pros only averaged 196. I spoke with the lane maintenance crew, and they say they have groomed the lanes in a much greater manner so that we'll have much more excitement. And through the 16 weeks, I'm sure you'll see all that. Now, here's the 16 weeks that we have. Naturally, we have the AC Delco Classic to open the tour. Then we go down to Los Angeles for the Greater Los Angeles Open, and then over the Showboat for the oldest stop on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Then it's on to the Quaker State Open in Grand Prairie, Texas, and the first of 3 light beer tournaments, the Light Beer Classic in Miami. The first of the Triple Crown, the U.S. Open in Venice, Florida, then up to St. Louis for the AMF Angle Open, the True Value Open, February 23rd, then on to the second light beer tournament in Ohio. Then we come to the second jewel of bowling's Triple Crown in Toledo, the PBA National Championship, then on to the King Louis Open. The Light Beer Championship rounds out the Light Beer Slam, and then we have the Fairlanes Open in Maryland. The Old Spice Classic, a new sponsor on the tour in New York City. Windsor Locks, the Pat Boone Open. And finally, the third jewel of the Triple Crown is the Firestone Tournament of Champions. And Chris, we're ready for the first shot of 1985.
Certainly are, Bo, and thank you very much. On the left, there you see colorful Guppy Troop, Neptune Beach, Florida. That's near Jacksonville. And from Houston, Texas, a non-winner, only non-winner in the field, Pete McCordick, 30 years old, PBA member 13 years, finishing in 5th position. Here's his first shot on the left lane of this championship pair. Good follow through. A little bit light, leaving the 10 pin on the left lane for this 5'11" 175 pounder, a big Astro and Oiler fan in Houston. Bo.
Chris, and he's got a brother, Paul, his twin brother, is an excellent bowler who's bowling in a PBA regional tournament down in the Houston area today, right now as we're on the air.
Cross lane. Beautifully done. So it's a spare for Pete McCordick of Houston, Texas. Now Guppy Troop, 9 years in the PBA. He has 7 tournaments. Finished the '84 Fall Tour with 3 television finals in the last 5 events. like our tournament leader, Mike Albee, on a hot streak. Stuck at the line.
Chris, the players have had a little trouble in the practice. The reason being is someone inadvertently cleaned the carpet with a cleaner, and the Professional Bowlers Association has covered it with a white mat back in the settee area, but some of the players had a residue on their shoes. You may see a little sticking this afternoon.
All right. This comes up, and we have an even match after one frame in the first. And if you just joined us, McCordick and Troop in the first. The winner will meet John Gant. He looks at some of the statistics of Troop. And then on to Butch Soper, the defending champion of last year's AC Delco Classic. And then on to the tournament leader, Mike Albee. $27,000 to the winner today, $14,000 to the runner-up. Second frame, left lane, Troop. Bo having a little trouble. They'll have to make some adjustments coming up high.
A player must slide as he's releasing the ball. If he quits sliding before the release, Chris, you end up with a pull. As evidenced by this shot, you see the ball cutting right through the heart. The 4, 6, 10, Guppy goes very quickly.
And leaves 3 standing. That may be costly down the road as we move on the frames of this first game. McCordick now into a 16-pin lead with spare up shooting in the second. He's on the right lane. Leaving the bucket. 2, 4, 5, 8.
Setting up the championship pair. They're 33 and 34 here at Union Square Lanes, a 40-lane bowling center. And the right-hand lane, all the players seem to feel hooks a little bit more. The reason could be twofold. Either the pine or the boards from the 17-foot mark down to the pins are a little softer, or there's not as much oil on that particular lane.
Well done. Covering the bucket, that should give him some confidence. Pete McCordick in a 12-pin lead in our very first match. Standing room only. And of the new developments, Bo, we're happy to report that ABC Sports and the Professional Bowlers Association have entered into another 4-year television contract, which means PBT will at least go through 1988 and beyond, I'm sure. Warming up to the situation. All right. $150,000 AC Delco Classic. 27, the winner. And as we mentioned, the runner-up 14. Third, 8,500, 4-7. And the loser of the first game you're watching now will leave with a check for $6,000 on his way to Torrance, California for the next event. Little help. What do you call that, Nelson?
Guppy gets that light hit, Chris. He has a very good roll on the ball. He has what we call a loose roll on the ball. He carries very well. His high hits and his light hits on that particular shot, the ball entered the 1-3, drove the 5 into the 4-7 area. Guppy's got himself loosened up. If he can slide on the approach, get a double here, he'll cut McCordick's lead down to 2 pins through 4 frames.
He is wearing a wireless microphone. From time to time, you might hear a comment. If he had been able to double there, I'm sure you'd have heard something from the boy born in Scotland.
The ball comes in light. The head pin goes to sideboard, and you'll momentarily see the 2-4-5 standing, and then the head pin fails to knock out the 7. An easy spare for Guppy Troop.
Bowling very fast today and marking with a spare in the 4th frame and trailing by 12 pins. The first match, Troop against McCordick. More of this match following this. Back live. 24th season of the Professional Bowlers Tour telecast exclusively here on ABC. From Houston, Texas, Pete McCordick, who leads by 12 pins. First game against Guppy Troop. Now shooting in the 4th frame. He has a strike working. Would love to double here to increase his lead. All again but that pesky 10 pin. Pete taking deep breaths and exhaling. That all helps, as I'm sure you found out, under stressful situations. Now he'll be cross-line, not quite as severe as some of the bowlers in this field of 5. All right, continues to mark here in our first match, and now bowl with a refreshing trio. Nelson?
Thank you, Chris. The John Gant family, John, his son Evan, and his wife, Dr. Beverly Timberding. Beverly, tell us how your family got together and the little story of Dr. Mom over here.
Well, basically, John and I, we met right out of high school. I went on to undergraduate school to pursue my medical studies, and John's bowling career evolved after his college studies. We got married the first year of medical school, and Evan came along about the second year. And John and I, between the two of us, we ended up sharing the diaper bag pretty well. That's about the story of it.
That's great. Dr. Mom, good luck in the match. Beverly's a residency at Allegheny General Hospital, and her husband's out here making some money. Back to you, Chris.
Real Steeler fans right there. Now Guppy Troop shooting in the 5th frame, a spare working, trailing by 12. He was going for only his 2nd strike in this first game, but again on the right lane, he too has left the 10 pin. The winner of this game goes against the man that shot a 300 last night, whom you just saw with Bo, John Gant of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. All right now. Ooh, he blew the 10. And that is the 2nd open frame for Guppy Troop of Neptune Beach, Florida. He now trails by 24 pins. Here's a replay.
An unforgivable mistake. Guppy just lets it slide by. He's a bit lethargic out there, Chris. There's a lot of money at stake. He has to get his act going. Trails by 24 pins, 6th frame.
His tempo is much faster than we've ever seen him work. Very smooth, but again a 10.
The soft 10, the ball just not quite finishing enough. As you notice, the 6 pin laying down in the channel as it goes around the 10. Guppy Troop has always been a sensationally strong player when he can go straight down that outside line. But when he has to belly the ball like that, his ball doesn't hit quite as hard. Let's see how he handles this spare.
Better. Plotting the ball as it moves toward the 10 pin. All right, 24 pin difference, and this is the leader. A lot of pressure on, and he shows it more than Guppy Troop. Pretty good reason. Pete is looking for his first title ever. Again, seeking a double. To no avail. Let's get a profile view, a replay.
McCordick with a very methodical 4-step delivery, has a good pitch away, good arm extension, just a little above his shoulder, keeps that arm tucked into his body, has good wrist action and follow through, and holds that follow through at the bottom of the shot. Got a bad break there, left a solid 10, taking a little extra time on the spare.
And you'll note that he followed through just as much and as smoothly on the spare shot as he did on his strike ball. So with the spare in the 6, 24 pins separating these two professionals in our very first match, first telecast of the 85 Professional Bowlers Tour telecasts. Next week, Torrance, California. Seventh frame. High hit, 4-7.
The first really good break Peter got on that shot. His arm swing came away from his body at the top of the swing in his back. He pulled the ball up high for a 4-7, avoids the 4-7-10 split. An easy spare. With this conversion, he'll stay 22 pins ahead of Guppy Troop.
Last year, he earned $56,000, most for any of those that hadn't won. So he continues to mark. Great consistency by this 30-year-old from Houston, Texas. The winner of his match with Troop will meet John Gant. First, this message.
I have taken on many fighters and tried many beers. One beer is in a class by itself. Light beer from Miller. Light tastes great, and it's less filling. It weighs in at a third less calories than the regular beer. Yes, I discovered your greatest beer, but I never met your greatest fighter. Hey, who is this Billy Martin anyway?
Billy Martin, he's warm, he's gentle, good looking too.
I got to meet this guy.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
U.S. Olympic gymnast
gymnastics gold medalist featuring Mary Lou Retton and more. Plus fiery Mark Breland in his second pro bout live on ABC's Wide World of Sports next.
As always, and delightfully, Wide World follows. But remember, a new time here in 1985, 4:30 Eastern and Pacific, 3:30 Central. So that means that Professional Bowlers Tour telecasts this year with the new time at 3 Eastern time. So remember that for the next 15 Saturday afternoons, and we hope you'll join us. Troop now, 7th frame. Hey, got only his second strike of the match. Before we went on the air, we asked Guppy about his New Year's resolutions.
My New Year's resolution this year is, 1, to make $100,000, 2, to keep my foot out of my mouth a lot, and 3, to still do a lot of complaining if I have to.
Okay, he does have a sense of humor. Deep guy, Guppy Troop. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is the first double of the new year. So that puts the heat now on Pete McCorrick. Let's watch Guppy's reaction. All right, with the spare working, now in the 8th frame, looking away is Troop McCordick bowling. And again on the right lane, a 10-pin.
Solid 10, solid 10, Chris. We're using 3 pound 6 ounce and 3 pound 7 ounce pins this week, but with the power of those polyurethane bowling balls that both players are using in that outside line, it's very easy to drive the 6-pin over the top of the 10, resulting in that solid 10 hit. Bad break for McCordick. He leads by 11.
All right. Now we come down to that foundation 9th frame. There you see it. Only 11 pins separating McCordick and Troop with the double up. Now it's the 9th frame for this Houstonian.
Thing to watch for McCordick here is if he keeps that arm swing in at the apex of the swing, the top of the backswing, Chris, under pressure, he has a tendency to bump it out. He's done a lot of practice to work on that. He feels that's his biggest improvement, and he needs that to win. Let's see what happens here.
Okay. Oh, what a time to come up with only his 3rd strike of the match.
And he disciplined that swing. Excellent shot. Coming down to the nitty-gritty. For the first time since the first ball, Guppy Troop can get back in the match. With a strike here, he'll trail by just 1.
Taking more time. He is zeroed in. Guppy Troop. Replay now of that pocket hit.
Solid in the pocket. Perfecto, as the pros call it, south of the border. Right, all 10 pins in the pit. Could have knocked down tree trunks with that shot. Guppy Troop can take the lead for the first time. 10th frame, he trails by 1. 3-bagger working.
Guppy is 34 years old, 5'8", 175 pounds. Last year earned $83,000. A 4.
Didn't quite get the break of the 2-pin coming off the sideboard. Left the 4-pin. The match is not over by any means. He could have taken the lead. Now watch the 2-pin, the 3rd pin on the left-hand part of your screen, as it goes to the sideboard and twists between the 4-7. Doesn't get the break. An easy spare. The best Guppy can finish with is 191.
Guppy Troop.
Count, Chris, is very important at this point as you see the concentration on Pete McCordick's face. Right now, if Troop can strike, he'll force McCordick to get at least a spare 9.
Remember, he had an open frame in the 2nd and blew it, left 3 pins standing.
That was that 10-pin that he left. He just was a little lethargic with it. Could be very important. Strong finish by the man that wears a lot of gold.
Guppy Troop, 191. Now, with a strike in the 9th, Pete McCordick. Destiny is in his own right hand.
That's it. He must mark. The chore is in his hand. He needs to get spare a 9, Chris, or a strike on this ball.
Okay.
It's not over. The difficult 6-10, you have to guard against sliding by the 6-pin or chopping off the 10. Peter looks at the scoreboard. a very disciplined player. He knows he needs this spare in a 9 or a strike to win. If he gets 8, we have a tie in our first match of the season, which will initiate a 2-frame 9th and 10th frame roll-off.
He's on the right lane where he's had practice. All right. Well, he has the mark.
Peter has a determined look in his eye, Chris, and I think that new wife, Susie, been married about a year and a half, new baby at home, 6 months old. I think that's all resting on his mind. I think you'll see a very aggressive shot from McCordick right here to move on to the second match. If he happens to get 8, we have a tie. It's a tie match, Chris.
A tie match, which means a 2-frame roll-off. Will you believe that? Our first match of our 24th season, and we go into extra innings. Let's look at the crucial shot.
There's an old saying in bowling, trust is a must or your game is a bust, but he sent it very wide. He almost got 7 and blew the whole match. The head pin went to the sideboard and rocked out the 4 and 8, leaves a 2-5. This initiates a 9th and 10th frame roll-off. Guppy Troop will start on the left-hand lane. He's up. It's all even. Just 2 frames to determine who moves on to the next match.
The man that finished strongest of the 2, Troop on the left lane. Well, the 4-7 now.
Easy spare. Guppy hasn't really hurt himself in the first frame. You don't want to give your opponent an open to shoot against.
There was no casualness in that shot that confronted him twice before in this match. Now, in his first frame of the 2-frame roll-off, Pete McCordick of Houston, tied at 191. Oh, got a leg up.
Well, that's a big shot because count is so important in a 9th and 10th frame situation. McCordick with a spare can lose no count in the 10th frame and 9th frame, where Troop has to strike if McCordick just spares on this shot.
A little high, leaving the 4.
The same shot that Guppy Troop left in the critical 10th frame. He goes a pinch high on this left-hand lane. You see that 2-pin go to the sideboard and go right between the 4 and the 7. There it is. Knocks out the 7, leaves the 4. An easy spare. We have a chance for a double tie here, Chris.
And we'll need 2 hours instead of 1 hour and a half. Okay. Well, what a way to start. 1985 on the Professional Bowlers Tour. 191 through regulation play, then a 2-frame roll-off.
Very important for McCordick to get 9 or a strike here. Preferably a strike to force Guppy Troop to strike.
Oh, no.
37. The count, very important, is Peter McCordick cuts right through the heart on his fill ball. Look at this. He leaves the 4, 6, 10.
Wow.
It's opened the door for Guppy Troop. For Guppy, he needs to cover 18 pins on 2 shots. A strike on the first ball would almost assure his victory. He's ready and he's set on the right-hand lane.
Concentration broken, and wisely put on the brakes and came back to try it again.
We have a crew of mechanics behind the machines to make sure that everything goes smoothly, and they just got a little loud and a little excited like everybody else.
All right. Oh, at the last moment, the 10 is tripped out.
Gets a love tap 6-pin. Watch the 6-pin, the second pin in the right-hand part of your screen. Lays in the channel. It bounces out at the last moment to knock over the 10. Guppy just needs to fill 8 pins on 2 balls. He has a strike working. There's a winner, Chris.
There he is, the man that moves up and will go against a strong competitive left-hander John Gant, while Pete McCormick now will have to be happy this week with a $6,000 check in the AC Delco Classic. Next match coming up. First, a word from a sponsor. Union Square Lanes, live, the $150,000 AC Delco Classic. Union City, California. We just had an exciting two-frame roll-off between Guppy Troop and Pete McCormick. They tied at 191, Troop winning 39-37. That earns the right, Troop now, to meet the man that finished third in the field of 160, left-hander John Gant of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. One title in his 2 years as a professional. That was in the Denver Open last year. Watch him. Power. 6'2", 190. Guppy, who won in that roll-off by 2 pins, 5'8", 175.
Even Guppy reacted to that cracking sound of the buzzsaw John Gant's first shot. You can hear it all the way up here. What a difference in the sound of the pins when you really put the putty to the ball. Let's see how Guppy reacts. Of course, he's got a second life out there anyway.
And again, a 10-pin, which plagued McCormick and Troop in the first match. And incidentally, in that exciting first game, 4 strikes in regulation, 1 strike in the tiebreaker. Well, we started the second with Gant striking, and now, hoping for a spare, is Troop. And again, he's come up with a glaring error.
Chris, you picked it out. It was really almost the pivotal shot that was his downfall in the first match, as he slid by it in the 5th frame here, right here in the 1st frame against John Gant. He just loses the ball completely, sticks a little bit on the approach, and I'll tell you what, he's in real trouble. He's got Gant to go against, and this Gant is an aggressive young player. Troop has got to get his act together.
Trying to recover, to no avail, leaving the 2, 4, 5, 7 on the left lane.
Guppy Troop, born in Edinburgh, Scotland. Chris, he's not even a United States citizen. He's lived in this country, and he says he's going to apply for citizenship this year, and has just been over here and had to renew his alien certificate every year. Taking a lot of money from the Pro Bowlers Tour.
$83,000 last year, 12th on the money list.
I wonder where he's paying taxes.
I don't know. His sponsor, Lee Levantis, has given him enough gold to make him weigh 200, which he's wearing, by the way. Now John Gant, the left-hander, strike up, 2nd frame. Oh, at the last moment, out goes the 7, averting that split. So Gant can give a sigh of relief.
Watch the revolutions on this ball, hanging out on the 2nd board. This is why we call him the buzzsaw. Now watch the pin action. The head pin to the sideboard. The 5 actually gets driven behind the 10. The head pin comes around and knocks out the 7. Actually, it looks like a good break that he broke down the 7-10. But it's a bad break that even has to shoot at either one of those pins. What a tremendous shot.
A 26-year-old University of Cincinnati graduate, where he was quite a pitcher, quite a collegiate baseball pitcher. Could have probably gone on to organized baseball, but chose not to.
Said he threw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and both Cincinnati and Pittsburgh called him down for a tryout, but as we saw in his earlier interview, he was being Mr. Mom, taking care of their little son as his wife was getting her medical degree. So I think he made the right decision.
Well, like the emergency room surgeon that his wife is, he delicately socked that one into the pocket for his 2nd strike in 3 frames. Now, with a spare up after an open frame in the 1st, here's Troop, 3rd frame. Almost a surprised look, the man with the shades.
From behind the pins, as you look through the pin center, here's the ball breaking at about 45 feet down the lane. Hits the 1, 3. Watch, here's a perfect strike. Drives in the 5, and you see the 9 pin going out at the last moment right there on the left center of your screen. A hard-working Guppy Troop out there in the AC Delco Classic. Needs a double here to get within 1 pin of John Gant.
And something he wanted to do in the first match, he has doubled and trails now by only 1. But changing that is John Gant, who has a strike up. He'll be shooting in the 4th. As we're running behind time, we'll leave live action, but we'll be back. Don't go away. This is the leader of our second match by a pin, John Gant of Pittsburgh, 5th frame. And picks up his 3rd strike in 5 frames. While we were away in the 4th frame, he left the 2, 4, 7, 8, covered them for a spare. He had a strike working then. Now, Troop with a double up can take the lead, shooting in the 5th frame. He won the first match, regulation play, a tie at 191, 39-37 against Pete McCormick in the 2-frame roll-off. And a lot of practice on the right lane, shooting the 10-pin.
Chris, he has to make these spares. He's gotten 2 reprieves, one in the first match against Pete McCormick, and he's almost pulled this match even against John Gant, even though he missed the 10-pin in the first frame. He's still sticking a little bit on that approach. As we said, there were some problems with the approach before we went on air. He made the 10-pin this time.
All right, man that's earned $347,878 in 9 years on the tour, Guppy Troop. And Bo, last year was an unbelievable year. There were 8 of your fellow professionals that earned over $100,000 competing.
Well, it's going to get better, Chris. As you alluded at the top of the championship round, that there's more money than ever, and it continues to grow in popularity, and a lot of people are going to like a lot of money. Getting better.
So with a spare up and shooting in the 6th frame, Guppy Troop has left the 10-pin on the left lane. Another close match here in the AC Delco Classic. The winner of this game will meet Butch Soper, the defending champion from last year's event, and then Mike Albee. Ooh. Next at a new time, 4:30 Eastern and Pacific, ABC's Wide World of Sports. U.S. Olympic gymnastics gold medalists featuring Mary Lou Retton from Houston and Mark Breland, that tremendous welterweight Olympic champion in his 2nd professional fight, live from Atlantic City, New Jersey. What a show to follow our first bowling telecast of 1985, Bo. Gymnastics, Mary Lou Retton, and Mark Breland, 2 of the finest in the entire world.
Great natural abilities, and you told me, Chris, and you, the expert on the boxing, felt that Breland could be a world's champion. And here's a guy you're going to see for a lot of years in the Professional Bowlers Tour, a world-class player, only in his 2nd year. The odds-on favorite for Rookie of the Year 1984, John the Buzzsaw Gant. Here he goes for Turkey.
All but the 7 for John Gant of Pittsburgh. That's Evan Gant, of course, his wife, Dr. Beverly. Evan told me I'd quite a talk with him. He'll be 4 January 12th, and I asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up, and he said, I want to be a bowler like my dad. I said, don't you want to be also be a doctor and a bowler? He said, you cannot have 2 jobs in life. At 3 years of age. Well, we're going to have to leave live action again because the first game took more than 5 minutes longer than normal because of the roll-off, but we'll be back.
Next Saturday, the pros travel to the beaches of Southern California for the $125,000 Greater Los Angeles Open, where veteran Wayne Webb will be on hand to defend his title in pursuit of the $18,000 top prize. So join us next Saturday afternoon at our new time, 3 Eastern, for live action on the Professional Bowlers Tour.
8. John Gant, 8th frame. Leaving the 7-pin, and while we were away, Guppy Troop in the 7th frame left the 2-7, failed to convert the split, leaving the 2-pin, then came back in the 8th with a strike. Now Gant will try to cover the 7-pin on the right lane. He has the lead. Gets it. The spare for Gant in the 8th frame, and he maintains a 24-pin lead in our 2nd match.
And here's how the left-hander makes the 7-pin right down the center with an extra ball speed, very little hook. You see how Gant cuts his hook down to cover the spares. Remember, in this bowling, you need power on the first ball to consistently strike, but you need to just touch the pins to convert the spares. Accuracy is premier on spares. Gant, 24-pin lead, 9th frame.
Foundation strike. And both, speaking of spares, in the Old Spice tip of the week coming up, you talk about the 1, 3, 6, 8, 10.
A difficult spare, a spare often left by the amateur bowlers, especially the women. And we give you a technique to convert that or increase your chances of converting it more often. Right now, Guppy Troop must strike. Gant's got him in the position he wants him, but Guppy Troop, a great come-from-behind player, trails by 24, needs a stubble.
And look at that reaction. It was time to stretch because the pins needed everything as that double now for Troop. He finished strong in the second game, only to tie at 191 on a 2-frame roll-off. He won 39-37. 14 pins.
Scoreboard tells the story. Troop can cut that lead to 4 and actually take the lead with 2 more strikes. He's great in the clutch. Here comes his shot in the 10th.
Now!
Wireless microphone. He's pretty sure he said now.
And he wanted some more hook. He says hook now. And right now he's dug himself a hole that is going to be impossible to get out of. The best Guppy Troop can shoot is 193. John Gant just needs a few pins to win the match.
So the loser of this match, our second game with the third soon to start, will get $7,000. But the winner moves up, has a chance at the $27,000 AC Delco Classic first prize.
All right, Guppy Troop finishes with 193, Chris. The buzzsaw, all he needs to do to go against the defending champion, Butch Soper, is get 8 pins on his first ball, or 8 on both shots. 8 on the first ball will do it.
And so the second game is over, and the winner is 26-year-old John Gant of Pittsburgh. Troop with $7,000. So now it'll be Gant against tiny fellow from Huntington Beach, California, Butch Soper. That'll start after this.
Say goodbye.
Yes, in our season's premiere, we're live in Union City, California, right near San Francisco. First match in a roll-off. The second match, 226 to 193. The young man from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, winning it. Now he's earned the right to go against Butch Soper in our third match of the afternoon. We welcome a new sponsor. They'll be sponsoring one of our telecasts, one of the events at Garden City, Long Island, Old Spice. Here's the tip of the week by Old Spice. Nelson Burton Jr. showing you a tip on the 1, 3, 6, 8, and 10.
The Professional Bowler's Tip of the Week today features Nelson Burton Jr. discussing the conversion of the 1, 3, 6, 8-pin split. Today's tip is sponsored by Old Spice, Aftershave and Cologne. Splash on the feeling, splash on the spice.
Occasionally, everyone's going to make a bad shot, and here's a leave I see beginners leave quite often. They throw the ball on the left side of the head pin, the ball hits the 2-pin here, and takes out the 4, 7. The 5 and 9 also come out after impact. Now this leaves a very difficult spare, the 1, 3, 6, 8, 10. Now at first thought, a player will shoot for the 1, 3, trying to carry out the pins, but there's a danger here. Very often, the 1 pin and the 8 pin will be chopped off, leaving the 3, 6, 10, or if the ball comes in a little light, the 1, 3, 6, 10 will be carried out, and you'll leave the 8 pin. Now, the best way to shoot it is to have the ball carry to the left side of the head pin, the ball carrying out the head pin and the 8 pin, the head pin carrying out the 3, 6, and 10. Let's take a look at that. To convert this difficult spare, remember the golden rule of bowling. When the head pin remains standing, move 5 boards to the right on the approach and roll it over your original strike target. It's amazing how a good spare shot will make up for a bad first shot.
U.S. Olympic Olympic gymnastics gold medalist featuring Mary Lou Retton and more. Plus fiery Mark Breland in his second pro bout live on ABC's Wide World of Sports next.
Back again in Union City, California, live. 24th season, the Professional Bowlers Tour telecast exclusively here on ABC. Union Square Lanes, bringing you up to date as Soper and Gant continue to practice before the start of the third match in the very first McCordick and Troop 191 tie. Two-frame roll-off, Troop winning 39-37. Then he met left-hander John Gant of Pittsburgh. With 7 strikes, went on to eliminate Troop 226 to 193. And now John Gant will go against right-hander Butch Soper of Huntington Beach, California. There he is in the striped shirt. He is the defending champion of the AC Delco Classic. Then the winner of this game will go into the final worth $27,000 to the winner. Tournament leader is Mike Albee, hottest on the tour after the end of 1984. Mike Albee of Indianapolis. Right now, 5'6" Butch Soper, a surfer, 130 pounds, wind wet.
Chris, and who can forget what a tremendous victory he had last year. He went the first 9 frames without a strike, came up in the 10th frame needing 2 strikes to win the match. One of the greatest comebacks I've ever seen in professional bowlers history. Threw a double, and he became the second AC Delco champion.
Leaving the 4-7.
Butch playing a much different line than the other right-handers we've seen so far. He's more in the track area, the worn area on the right side between the second and third arrows. The other right-handers were out by the first arrow for more strike power. Butch is just trying to keep it in play, keep the match close.
So marking with a spare in the first frame. Loser of this match, $8,500. The winner goes into the final for either $27,000 or $14,000. Here's the left-hander, tremendous athlete. 1 victory in 2 years as a professional on tour. Oh, yes.
Watch this pin action. Now watch the action of the head pin as it goes to the sideboard. It's driven off the sideboard. You think it's out of play, but the buzzsaw has put the power to it. It keeps it in play, keeps it spinning, rolls across the deck, drives out the 7. That's the messenger shot. It takes a lot of power, a lot of speed to carry that shot. This man is red hot.
Had a 300 last night. Final game position round. And now he has a double. And if he can bowl 10 more, True Value would present him with a $100,000 check. True Value, again, being very generous. And in Peoria at the True Value Open, should a bowler bowl a perfect 300 game, it's $200,000.
Chris, 42 games this week. You see the early leaders, Dennis Jakes, all be taking the lead in the finals.
And don't count out this 130-pounder, Butch Soper, well-groomed from Huntington Beach, California. Told me he just moved. Now, instead of walking to the beach, he has to ride his bicycle. Get his legs in shape anyway.
A man who has the stature and comportment of one of the great players of all time, the great Hank Marino from Santa Monica, California, throws the same type of ball. A little spinner, a little hook, and good pin action.
And a bucket 2-4-5-8 on the left lane.
Losing the ball slightly on the downswing, did not get quite the lift necessary to make the ball finish into the pins for a strike. And as you hear Butch's fingers pop out of the ball, that's just from the very tight finger holds he uses and a vacuum effect as they come out of the ball.
2 PBA titles. It's everything. His entire body behind each shot, Butch Soper. And the whip, John Gant of Pittsburgh.
Got his degree from the University of Cincinnati, majoring in education. Right now, he's giving those pins a little lesson with that powerful ball.
Leaving the 6-pin on the right lane.
Dr. Timberding and son Evan. You know, he says, Chris, he says the one problem he has in bowling, he still has to use 2 hands, but down the line, we've given tips for the little kids to use 2 hands with a bowling ball, and that's basically to keep the finger holes on one side of the lane and the thumb hole on the other and roll the ball between the thumb and fingers. Keeps the ball in the lanes for the little guys.
I'll bet Nelson Sr. taught you that when you were 3, right, Bo?
Well, he started me with a duck pin ball, Chris. But today's machines won't pick up the duck pin, so you have to go with the light ball for the little guys. A duck pin ball being very small and weighing only 4 pounds.
The true candidate for the 1984 Rookie of the Year, John Gant of Pittsburgh, a strike in the 4th. We're running behind time in our 90-minute time slot. We'll be bowling through, but we'll keep you up to date when we return.
I don't compete anymore, but I still pump iron. So after lifting a few hundred pounds, it's nice to lift one of these. Light beer from Miller. Light tastes great, and it's less filling with a third less calories than the regular beer. Now, you know, bodybuilding is hard work, but having a great body has its advantages. Sure makes it easy to pick up guys. Hi, Ronnie.
Well, hi there. What's going on here? Hey, honey, how about a lift home, huh?
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
While we were away, a strike in the 4th frame, now the 5th. And again on the left lane, the bucket. 2, 4, 5, 8. Very close match.
Chris, this is reminiscent of the match he rolled in the AC Delco Championship last year, where he just struggled along, kept it in place. You see the ball sliding by one that's, again, leaving the 2, 4, 5, 8. The bucket, a difficult spare. He needs to convert this to continue to trail by 9 pins.
Get it. Both professionals continuing to mark. This is our 3rd match. Troop winning the first in a roll-off, 39-37 over Pete McCormick. And this man, Gant, eliminated Troop, 226 to 193. Now a 9-pin lead. He was hoping to add to it, but he's left the 2, 4, 7.
The first really errant shot as we see the footwork of John Gant, a nice, methodical, powerful delivery. Driving through with 4 steps, sliding down at the line, a little stiff leg at the line. He pulled up, and that's the reason the ball went high, cut through the pins and left the 2, 4, 7. His first really difficult spare shot. Here he goes.
And the Denver Open winner last year now has a spare in the 5th frame, 3rd game. Next week, Torrance, California.
Watch John Gant as he sets up. He has a fingertip grip, and he uses a tremendous wrist action. Watch, the fingers are just inserted to the first knuckle. Oh, there he goes, just very tight holes. Now watch that snapping wrist action as he lets go of the ball. That's what puts the power on the ball, just not turning over the top of it. Bingo, right there. Too much, Chris. He got a great break as he crossed over. Watch this ball. Very sharp break. Crossing over to the right-hand side, the 1-3. Look at that. It's called an RBF, we call that, where the 3-pin actually knocked out the 5-pin, a reverse blowing 5. As you see, Evan, he liked that one.
Butch's high hit left him the 3-6-10. Mike Albee, a left-hander, the tournament leader, continues to warm up off to our right. Thus, you'll hear pin fall like right there. That's Mike. Striking over there on that lane, but the championship pair is something else, as our bowlers are finding out today. Costly open frame for Soper, coming in the 6th, 106 through that many frames, and now trailing by 23. There he is, Mike Albee. They're great young players. He'll meet the winner of this match. 6 years on tour, 6 victories.
Soper has to get it going here. Big trouble. 7th frame. He trails by 23.
A 10.
Bad luck. Solid 10. It's the first time he's been up solid in the pocket on that particular lane. The 1st frame, he was a little high. The 3rd frame, he went light for the bucket. The 5th frame, light for the bucket again. And now a near perfect hit, the solid 10. Channel
shot, leaving the 10 And it's another open frame, back-to-back for Butch Soper. Bowling through as we're running behind our schedule, but we'll be back to bring you up to date. This is Butch Soper now. He is shooting in the 8th frame after 2 opens, trailing by 41, and gets the elusive strike on the right lane. While we were away, in the 7th, a strike for John Gant, giving him a double, as you see. And then he left the 139, covered it for his spare in the 8th frame. Comfortable lead of 41, which could possibly mean it'll be an all-left-hander final.
If Butch Soper does not strike on this ball, you can bet on it. He still hangs in there.
Yeah, he does. Did that last year. And his first strike on the left lane.
The situation is this for John Gant in this match. Gant going at a 216 pace, Soper a possible 205. That would be only an 11-pin difference, even though the Gant leads by 31 now. If he makes any mistake, he'll open the door for a very tough Butch Soper. And there it is.
There. Oh.
Chris, he has to go for just 2 pins. He cannot go for the split. Watch him. He just throws that powerful hook, but he lets it break too sharply on the back and cuts right through the heart. 1,500 to 1 for old Big Ears for the pros, and I think John will just go for 2 of them.
And he goes for the left side, and it gets 1.
Slides by.
John Gant. Well, it's a game often of perfection, a game of errors, breaks. That's why it's been so exciting all these 23 seasons as we're in our 24th, the AC Delco Classic. First of 16 consecutive live Saturday afternoon telecasts. New time, 3 Eastern and Pacific.
It's anybody's match, Chris. Gant has opened the door. He only leads by a few pins as we go into the 10th frame.
Good composure on the left lane for 26-year-old John Gant.
That's the first time he's even been in the pocket, Chris. He missed it in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. He got 2 crossover strikes to keep him in the match, and he has now set up a situation where if he gets a strike, the graphic tells the story. In 7 pins, he'll win. If not, Soper can double in the 10th, as he did last year to get himself in a position to defend his AC Delco title.
Loser, 8,500. Winner of the match going into the final, a chance for 27,000. Well,
bye-bye. It's all up to Butch Soper now. He just whiffed it out the door. He reached for the rosin bag, the 1 shot late. He grabbed it after that for the spear ball. Almost dumps it off in the moat. Clips off 7 pins, leaves the 136. The best he can shoot is 199. Soper can still win the match with 2 strikes.
All right. The defending champion now, Butch Soper, 35 years old, the veteran, 14-year man on the tour. He needs 2 strikes and 5 pins to win and go into the final against Mike Albee. There's 1. First game, it was a 191 tie. A roll-off. Troop eliminated McCordick. Then in came Gant, who defeated Troop 226 to 193. And now, a strike and 5 pins to win. You got to get the strike right here, otherwise. Here he is in the right lane, using nearly all the approaches you see.
What a shame, Chris. He loses the match, and it all goes back to the 10-pin he missed in the 7th frame. It's going to be an all-lefty final. Gant against Albee. The last time we had that was in Denver last year, where Gant defeated Steve Cook.
What competition here in Northern California, where ABC will be 2 weeks from tomorrow for the 19th Super Bowl game, exclusively on ABC. All right, we'll be back with the final game. It's 199 to 191. BBT will continue after this message from one of our sponsors at Station Identification.
Meet Janet.
competition has been fierce here in our live telecast from Union City, California, just south of San Francisco at the Union Square Lanes. We have come down now to the final match. 27,000 to the winner. The runner-up, 14,000. The tournament leader, Mike Albee in the blue shirt, will shoot first, going against John Gant, who got into the final by defeating Butch Soper 199 to 191.
A red-hot Mike Albee just dominated the fall tour, winning more than 60,000, and has still continued to do that. Bingo!
And before the telecast, I noticed he was carrying his main bowling ball off to the locker room and asked him what he was going to do. He said he was going to shine it so it hooked less.
Well, we have a shine machine in the PBA paddock, which services all the players. And what a player will do, and this is good for tip for the amateurs, Chris. If your ball is hooking too much, go to one of the shine machines in the particular bowling center and invest a quarter or half a dollar, and that'll cut your hook down, and you can still get the roll and have a little more control. A good move by Albee.
Also from the left side, John Gant, who has won 2 games coming into this final. All but the 10-pin for this 26-year-old from Pittsburgh.
An unperturbed John Gant as he drives right through the 1-2 pocket. Watch the action of the 6-pin as it gets driven straight behind the 10-pin by the 3-pin. Sometimes you pay a penalty for power. Most of the time you end up on the upside and getting a reward.
So it's a spare for John Gant, who defeated Guppy Troop 226 to 193, and as we indicated in the last game, defeated Butch Soper 199 to 191. He had 6 strikes en route, 7 strikes in his victory over Troop.
Chris, not the scoring that we've expected. We said last year at the top of the championship round, or I said, that the tour average 196 for the first 5 weeks. We're only going along at a 198 clip this week. Not what we expected.
Strike in the second for Gant. And
a great break for Gant. He does not control this ball at all. He crosses over to the right-hander's side. He drives the 4 into the 7, but when you miss that far, Chris, it's like going over 2 fairways and ending up with a straight shot at the green in the game of golf. He got a great break, but he's going against a very tough opponent. Albee just took command after the 18-game qualifier, and he led it for 42 games. He needs 1 game for the title.
Right. So he is perfect through 2 frames of the second match. 24 years old, from Indianapolis, Indiana. One of the 8 to go over the $100,000 earned last year. $110,000 for Mike. Leading money winner, Mark Roth.
Mike, with a win here, Chris, would be pushing $90,000 in his last 6 or 7 tournament performances. That's a pretty good weekly average.
And you know, he had a 3-year period when he didn't win, but he's gritty and tough. Now he will be faced with the 2-7 on the left lane.
Odds 2-1 for the pros. The baby split for the left-handers. Mike Albee, as you see, age 24. He broke that 3-year drought at Indianapolis, Chris, a very hometown victory as they had everybody behind him. Cross lane, has to get the ball to the left of the 2-pin, let it deflect into the 7.
Is that the toughest victory in your hometown?
Well, Chris, once you get by the first game, it's the easiest, but it's the toughest to get by the first game. You're right.
Costly error. Not converting the 2-7. Here's a man that broke the sound barrier. Retired General Chuck Yeager, spokesman for AC Delco, our tournament sponsor.
He's got all the right stuff, huh, Chris?
Oh, hasn't he, though? Imagine that. Shot down 13 in World War II, 5 in 1 day. Qualified at F-15, 16, 18, and Northrop's F-20. And this man qualified 3rd in this tournament, and now he's in the final match, the left-hander from Pittsburgh. A double.
Stone-faced. Boy, he shows very little emotion other than you can feel it as his opponent. Threw that double in there, just jumping on Albee's open frame there in the 3rd. Gant leads by 14. 2 strikes in a row can increase it to a 24-pin lead through 4 frames with a turkey.
left-hander John Gant of Pittsburgh going against left-hander Mike Albee for the AC Delco title. Let's take a break. We'll return following this. A live shot of Mike Albee, tournament leader, in the final against John Gant of Pittsburgh, trailing by 24. He tried to recover after an open frame, did not. But he's had a hot streak in the fall of '84. We just admire him, the fact that he has come back so well after a 3-year drought.
The 2, 4, 7, 8, the second time we've seen that today, Chris, a very difficult spare for both left-handers and right-handers. What you have to do is drive the ball between the 2 and 4, carry out the 8, and avoid the chop. Albee needs to convert this to continue to lose, trail by 24.
We asked Mike the reasons for his great showing at the end of '84. Here's what he said.
I felt my physical game had always been good, and I didn't see anything wrong with it. I knew it had to be in my mental game, and I went out, tried to keep my head down, just paying attention to my own game, and the breaks fell into place. I was able to win, which gave me the big lift and confidence, and has carried me into today.
Mike Albee and his wife, Tammy. Tammy Albee.
Beautiful girl. Mike Albee practices up to 100 games a week, Chris. That's what a pro has to do to stay contemporary out here and in shape.
He needed that against coming on strong John Gant of Pittsburgh. Gant with 3 in a row after opening with a spare, still leading by 24. Can increase that, though, here in the 5th frame of our championship match.
Let's see if he has killer instinct. There's a place in every match where you really have to go for the throat. Normally, it's near the end of the match. Gant can put Albee on the ropes with one more strike here.
He did it. Undoubtedly, it has not been announced yet, but Sporting News has a Player of the Year, which probably will be Mark Roth, but the Rookie of the Year, I would think, would be John Gant.
Can't miss. You have to misspell the name on the ballot if you don't give him Rookie of the Year, Chris. Right now, 34-pin lead. The first real run at a big game we've seen all day long. Spare 4-bagger. With 5 in a row, he can increase his lead over Mike Albee to 44 pins. Look at him cocking that eye. He's got a lot of thoughts in that tough mind.
But here again, the 4, 6, 10. It's been a tough afternoon for all 5 champions.
Old Mo switches back and forth in all sports, and here it switches back to Albee as John Gant leaves him wide open. Gant will not go for the 4, 6, 10 split. He'll just shoot for the 6, 10 to convert and continue to lead, but he's opened the door for Mike Albee.
Give it an all-out try, John Gant of Pittsburgh. 2 champions going for the 27,000. And speaking of champions, Wide World of Sports, a new time, 4:30 Eastern and Pacific, 3:30 Central. Today, the United States Olympic Gymnastics gold medalists featuring Mary Lou Retton. What a 16-year-old gold medal winner. And speaking of gold, Mark Breland, most impressive of all the boxers in the Olympic competition in Los Angeles, in his 2nd professional fight, live from Atlantic City. Mike calling that one to bend in, and he gets his double, and the lead now has been cut. 9 pins. Mike can take the lead on the next shot.
One of the trademarks of Albee, when he gets that adrenaline flowing, you can hear it any tournament in the tournament, just really going for it. Now watch how Albee stays down through the shot really well. Good extension and push away. 4-step delivery, 2, 3. Now watch him drive through this shot. Look at that pivot foot, that left step, and driving down deep and a continual follow through down low to the pins. Now watch him root for it. He knows it's there. To take the lead right here, he needs a strike.
Well, it pays to talk to the bowling ball. Mike Albee takes the lead with a double and a miscue by Gant in the 6th frame, an open frame. Now Gant is up on the right lane, shooting in the 7th. This is the final and championship match.
Post-match comparison in styles, the power of John Gant, the stroke of Mike Albee. John Gant using a hard rubber ball. You very seldom see the players use that, but with his power, he can get away with it. Albee using a urethane.
Leaving the 7 pin.
Boy, he doesn't leave anything in the locker room, does he,
No.
Chris? He cuts it
No.
loose. adjusting the tape in his thumb hole.
3 finishes in the top 5 as a rookie in '84. Spare. He is bowling a former PBA Rookie of the Year, Mike Albee. Albee doing it in '79. There you see one little old bowling pin. Mike Albee never saw that shot when John Gant left the 4-pin on the left lane.
Chris Gant does just not give the ball enough room here on the left-hand lane. 2 frames in a row. He had the big split in the 6th and avoids the split, and it comes up with an easy spare here, the 4-pin in the 8th frame as he hit the head pin dead on. But Albee looking away is a good idea, especially when you're a stroke player. You don't watch a slashy type player as Gant is. It affects your mental game.
Extremely costly area. Like maybe $13,000.
Wow, just slides by the 4-pin, Chris. I just remarking how well he shoots spares, and yet he just didn't give it enough room. That is just a mental error right there. The 4-pin is the easiest spare you can have on the lane. Really opens the door for Albee. Albee can take a 23-pin lead here in the 8th frame. As he came up in the 6th frame just 2 frames ago, he was trailing by that many.
Gant with a 4-bagger, and then in the last 3 frames, 2 open.
All of them, all of them.
And it's a 4-bagger here at this stage of the final match for Mike Albee. And a little bit of a comfortable lead at this stage for Albee, who finished in the top 5 4 times, winning the Indianapolis Open, the Brunswick Memorial World Open, and the Fall Tour. Second behind Mike Durbin, the Firestone Tournament of Champions. Mike, our statistician again today.
In the 6th frame, we had a situation where Gant could have gone for the throat as Tammy Albee looks on and put away Mike Albee. He didn't do it. Let's see what Albee's in that same situation here in the 9th. Let's see what he does when he has the gauntlet in hand.
The right stuff and right attitude here late in the game for Tammy Albee's husband, Mike.
For John Gant, the landlord has come for the rent. He must strike in the next 3 balls or he has no chance.
Missed, leaving the 7-pin, Nelson.
Well, he's been sporadic with his good shots, Chris. He's throwing a lot of good balls that he got away with and got strikes early in the matches. Through some bad balls, he got some good breaks early matches. But against Mike Albee, he's paid for everything. When he hit the nose, he got trouble. And when he threw a bad shot like that, he was in more trouble. It's all over.
And Mike Albee, 6th year in the tour, just looking away, not weeping. You can be assured of that unless it's tears of joy.
Professional courtesy, Chris.
Sure.
When you have a player buried like he has John Gant, I mean, looking him in the eye and somewhat, there's a certain amount of professional courtesy involved there. Albee knows he's won, and he's a true champion. He doesn't want to rub it in.
And leaving a 7 for a very disappointed 26-year-old from Pittsburgh, from whom we'll hear a lot more and see a lot more here in 1985. Our first stop, 16 cities, live telecasts each Saturday afternoon, new time 3 o'clock, which means it's a new time for Wide World of Sports, which follows 4:30 Eastern and Pacific, 3:30 Central. All right. There is the man that has won his 7th PBA title, $27,000 from AC Delco today. All of it live from Union Square Lanes in Union City, California.
The fortunes or misfortunes of the bowling wars, Chris. Gant had a 34-pin lead as he stepped up in the 6th frame. Right now, he has given away 80 pins. He went from 34 ahead to 46 behind, and Albee can make it even more.
We have a winner And a tournament leader, which didn't happen often last year, has stayed in there to win the championship. Mike and Tammy Albee of Indianapolis, Indiana. We'll be back.
My hair.
U.S.
And the cheer here in Union City for Mike Albee. 7th PBA championship. Tammy, we congratulate you. Mike, actions speak louder than words as your bowling show that I'm happy to introduce Archie Long, executive in charge, Service Parts, General Motors, with this presentation. Archie?
Thank you very much, Chris. And Mike, a great game. Here's a check for $27,000 on behalf of AC Delco and General Motors. In addition, this trophy, you see it turn around at both sides. Good luck in the rest of the tour.
Buy a lot of AC Delco parts.
I'll tell you what, I just bought a new GM car, so it's going to come in handy, I'll tell you.
I knew you were a wise Hoosier. Tammy, you weren't nervous at all.
No, not a bit.
Congratulations. We have to go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Albee is the winner of the AC Delco Classic. Stay tuned for ABC's Wide World of Sports. Today's lineup includes performances by United States Olympic gymnastic gold medalist featuring Mary Lou Retton. Another Olympic star from Los Angeles will also be in action live as Mark Breland boxes in his second professional fight from Atlantic City, New Jersey. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports. Once again, the winner, Mike Albee of Indianapolis.